Hello, all. I wanted to give my personal Salem's Lot story. But before I can do that, I have to give you the context of me as a kid. I was around 9 or 10, and before Salem's Lot came to TV in November, Jaws premiered on television for the first time, and it was a big deal. And you have to remember, back then there was only 3 channels, so everybody was probably watching it. There was none of this Netflix, all this. You can watch anything anytime you want. You watch what was ever on that TV. So watching Jaws, I knew sharks were real. I mean, I knew they were a real thing. I knew they could potentially eat you. And we watched the movie, loved the movie and all. And then in November, Salem's Lot came to TV, and I did not want to see this movie. I did not want to watch this film. And I told my father, I said, I don't want to watch this. But he didn't care. He wanted me to watch it. So me and my brother and sister sat in front of this small little television, sit on the floor in front of the small little television, and we watched Salem's Lot with my dad behind us. And whenever a scary scene came, he pulled the mop out and boo, you know. It's funny now, but back then that wasn't funny to me. We watched the first part, and I thought that the second part was coming on the next day, like the second part's going to air, but it wasn't. But it wasn't until a week later, and I was thinking, like, man, I hope we don't watch that other part of that movie. I hope we don't watch the other part of that movie, but we did. So we saw the whole thing the first week and the second week, and it scared the shit out of me. Now, when I see, my story is a little different from most people, because they'll say it scared the shit out of them for weeks. This scared the shit out of me for decades, and it really bothered me. I didn't want to be near a window. I didn't want to sleep in the dark. I didn't want to take a shower. I didn't want to take a bath. I was petrified. I had nightmares all the time. Even up until 18, 20, even up to 30 and 40 years old, I had nightmares because of this one movie. And I'm not a horror fan. I'm not a horror fan at all. I never could. Now, I'm not a horror fan. I never could understand why anyone would be a horror fan. If you want to watch horror, just turn the news on. I've never got that. I never understood why anybody's a horror fan. But if you are a horror fan, good for you. Props to you. I'm not judging you, but I'm just speaking for Troy. Troy's not a horror fan. So, I guess 2004 comes along, and there's this remake, and I'm like, why would they do that? You know, why would they make another one? And I saw bits and pieces of it, and I thought it doesn't look near as scary as the original. And I could see CGI, and I'm like, well, you know, whatever. But I saw some scenes that were different that I didn't see in the original, and so it wasn't up until about a year. So let me say this part. It's very important. So I would say about 5 years ago, it just happened to be on television. And I saw a couple of parts, and I'm like, I said to myself, I'm a grown man. I can deal with this. So, so I said to myself, I'm a grown man. I can watch this. And I see a few scenes. I'm like, nope, can't watch it. Grown ass man cannot even watch a vampire movie, because it freaked me out. It really did. So up until about 6 months ago, it's the craziest thing, because I was angry at my father for years. I never said nothing to him about it, because he just blow it off. But I was really, really angry at him for making me watch that movie. So up until about 6 months ago, I said, you know what? I'm going to face my fears. I'm going to watch this and just try to get this out of my system. Well, I don't have these nightmares anymore. So I did. And the more I watched it, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of liking it. I'm kind of liking it a little more and more as I watched it. I'm kind of liking it. So now when I say I watched clips on YouTube, just the vampire clips. So I knew the 2004 version had different scenes. So I went back and I watched that, and I was like, that's not in the original. That's not in the original. So it made me interested in reading the book, and I've been reading the book, and not just reading the book, but listening to the audio book. And then I discovered there was a radio drama, and I highly recommend the Salem's Lot radio drama. It's on YouTube. It don't cost you nothing. If you're driving on a long drive, it's very entertaining. Your mind is the theater, so it's very good. So what's really surprised me is I have become a fan of this movie. Absolutely shocked at myself. I have become a fan of this film, and I've been dissecting the differences between the book, the movie, the 2004 version, and what might come with a 2023 or whatever year that's going to come out version. The scenes that are in the book that are not in the movie or any version. And my favorite scene that's in the book that's not in any of the versions is the scene with Susan's at the window of Mark's window. I've been watching Ben's videos on YouTube. Calls himself the Boogeyman. It's the craziest thing. Sometimes I find myself humming that tune he does at the beginning, Boogeyman. But anyway, I do have a question to everyone. What do you think is an appropriate age for a child to watch this? Because I definitely don't think 10 years old, a 10-year-old should watch that. That's my opinion. I don't believe a 10-year-old and below should watch it. And I really thought about this, and I really think that 14, 15, 16, anything below 16 should not watch this film. But that's pretty much my Salem's Lot story, and I just wanted to share that. Hope you enjoyed this video. I don't make a lot of videos, but I do got a few coming up soon that I want to talk about related to Star Wars. So thanks for watching. Bye.